There's something about a man who doesn't chase, but lingers in a woman's mind like a whisper she can't shake off. A man who isn't trying to prove anything, but every word he speaks feels like the truth. A man who, even in silence, makes her wonder, who is he? Not because he's playing games, but because he's rooted, still, whole. You see, women don't lie awake thinking about the loudest guy in the room. They don't reply to the messages from the guy who flooded her phone. She thinks about the one who made her feel seen, the one who made her feel safe and unsettled at the same time, the one whose energy echoed long after he left. This is not about tricks. This is not about pickup lines. This is about energy, about the man you become when you stop performing and start embodying who you are, fully, boldly, unapologetically. If you've ever wondered why some men are forgettable and others unforgettable, you're about to discover it's not an accident, it's a choice. So watch this video till the end, because once you understand what truly makes a woman think about you all night, you'll never chase attention again. Subscribe, like, and let's begin. There's a kind of man who walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word, yet women remember him long after he's gone, not because of what he wore or the car he drove, but because of how he made them feel. And it always starts with presence. Presence is rare today. Most people are distracted, scrolling through their phones, nodding without listening, already halfway into tomorrow's meeting while you're sitting right in front of them. But the man who is truly present, he's a breath of fresh air in a world that never pauses. When you're with her, really with her, you make her feel like she exists, that she's not just another face in a crowd. You see her, you hear her, you notice the little things. Her voice when it softens, the way her eyes move when she's trying not to cry. You don't just listen to her words, you listen to the emotions underneath them, and that level of presence, it's magnetic. It creates emotional safety, and emotional safety is what makes a woman think about you long after you've left, because that moment you created was real, and real is rare. But presence isn't a trick, it's not a performance. You can't fake it. It's something you build. You train it by putting your phone away, by slowing down, by breathing and paying attention. When you talk to someone, make that moment sacred, not sacred in a religious sense, sacred in the way that it deserves your full attention. That person, whether they'll be in your life forever or just for this conversation, is worthy of your full energy. And it's not just about women. The man who is present becomes a better friend, a better brother, a better leader, because people feel that. And women, they remember that. They'll replay the conversation you had in their minds. They'll think about how peaceful they felt around you, how they didn't feel judged, or rushed, or invisible. You gave them a feeling they don't often experience in a world that moves too fast and listens too little. So if you want her to think about you all night, don't chase her, don't impress her, don't try to fix her, be present with her. In every word, in every silence. Because when a woman feels your presence, she doesn't just remember what you said, she remembers who she was when she was with you, and that is unforgettable. There's a kind of confidence that doesn't need to speak, and that's the one that keeps her thinking about you all night. It's not the loudest man in the room who wins her attention. It's not the one trying too hard, showing off his money, his muscles, or how many people he knows. No, it's the man who walks in, calm, grounded, and still. The man who speaks when necessary, but only when he truly has something to say. Silent confidence is not arrogance, it's not coldness, it's a deep knowing of your worth, without needing anyone else to confirm it. When you carry yourself with silent confidence, women feel it, even if they can't explain it. They feel safe around you, curious about you. They sense that you don't need to be chosen, because you already choose yourself. That's attractive, that's powerful, and more than anything, that's rare. See, most men don't know how to sit with themselves. They feel empty without validation, so they perform. They overtalk, they dominate the room, just to silence the voice in their heads that tells them they're not enough. But the man with silent confidence, he doesn't run from his silence, he lives in it. And from that silence, he speaks slowly, he moves with purpose, he looks people in the eyes without flinching, because he has nothing to hide. He doesn't rush to prove himself, he's not afraid to be misunderstood, because he understands himself. And a woman can feel that. She'll replay the moments when you didn't interrupt her, when you listened, when you stood still while others scrambled for attention. That stillness becomes mystery, that calm becomes depth. And here's the truth. When a woman senses that you are centered, that you are emotionally stable, she can finally let her guard down, not because you forced her to, but because you gave her the space to feel safe doing so. Silent confidence isn't about dominance, it's about security. It's a quiet strength that whispers, I don't need to control you. I trust myself enough to let you be free. So how do you cultivate this kind of confidence? You learn to be alone without feeling lonely. You practice silence without trying to fill it. You stop chasing approval and start becoming the kind of man who approves of himself. You set your values and you live by them. Not loudly, but consistently. You take responsibility. You stop making excuses. You own your story, the wins and the wounds. And when you show up like that, with that kind of presence and confidence, she will notice. Maybe not immediately, maybe she won't even know why, but when she closes her eyes at night, your energy will stay with her. Because you didn't just take up space, you brought peace into it. Most men talk to a woman like they're giving her instructions, facts, logic, ID, all directed at her head, never touching her heart, and they wonder why she loses interest. Why does she look away? Why does the conversation die, even when everything said was right? It's because women don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. Speak to her emotions, and she'll think about you long after the conversation is over. This isn't about manipulation. It's not about pretending to care just to get a reaction. It's about learning to connect on a level that matters. A woman isn't drawn to you just because you're smart. She's drawn to the way you express your depth. When you show her that you understand how she feels, without trying to fix it, without rushing her out of it, she feels seen. And when a woman feels seen by a man, truly seen, that moment gets burned into her memory. It becomes a sacred imprint, and she won't forget it. The problem is, many men haven't been taught emotional language. You were raised to suppress it. To be strong meant to be silent, to never show weakness, to never say I feel. But what if I told you that strength and sensitivity can live in the same body? That real masculinity isn't about hiding from emotion. It's about being so grounded in who you are that emotion can pass through you without breaking you. When you speak to a woman from that place, it changes everything. She's not just listening to your words, she's listening to your tone, your body. She's asking, do you feel what I feel? So when she talks about her day, don't just problem solve. Don't say, you should do this. Say that sounds overwhelming. That must have felt frustrating. Just that simple shift shows her you're not trying to change her emotion. You're trying to understand it. And that understanding becomes intimacy. Sometimes you don't even have to say much. Just holding space for her emotions, being calm while she's in chaos. That is powerful. Most men back away when a woman gets emotional. They shut down. They change the subject. They walk out. But the man who stays, the man who breathes through it with her and makes her feel like she's not alone, that man becomes unforgettable. And if you want her thinking about you when she lies in bed at night, it's not about the fancy words or flashy gestures. It's about that moment when she felt completely safe in your energy. When you looked at her and didn't just her. When you heard the words she didn't say, that's the moment she'll play back in her mind, over and over and over again. So stop trying to impress her. Instead, it impacts her, not just in her mind, but in her soul. Speak to her where she lives, in her emotions, and you won't need to chase her. She'll feel you even in your silence. Desire can bring a woman to you, but only purpose will make her stay. Too many men approach women like they're the destination, as if the woman herself is the reward for being a man. But the truth is, a woman doesn't want to feel like your entire world. She wants to feel like she's walking beside a man who already has a world. A man with direction, fire, and purpose. That's where her attraction ignites. Not in your need for her, but in your ability to move forward with or without her. You see, desire without purpose is hollow. It's easy to want someone. It's easy to look at her beauty, her smile, her softness, and feel a craving in your chest. But if all you offer is craving, she'll sense the emptiness underneath it. And no matter how many compliments you give, or how charming your words are, she won't feel safe investing in you. because deep down, she knows a man who doesn't know who he is will always eventually ask her to define him. And that's a burden no woman wants to carry. When a man lives with purpose, everything about him becomes magnetic. He walks differently. He speaks with calm certainty. He's not scrambling for approval. He's not trying to prove his worth. He knows his worth because he's built something with his own hands. Whether it's a business, a mission, a craft, or a set of values, he's standing on ground that is his. And when he meets a woman, he invites her into his world, not because he needs her to fill a void, but because he wants to share his vision with someone who understands it. Women can feel when a man has depth behind his eyes, not just hunger. When he's passionate about something bigger than himself, it shows. Conversations have weight, his silence has meaning, and his presence commands respect. She starts thinking about him, not because he chased her, but because he stood so firm in who he was. She couldn't help but be drawn in. That's what keeps her up at night. Not just that you want her, but that you're going somewhere, and she wants to be part of the journey. A woman wants to be with a man who's becoming something, not just existing, not waiting around for love to make his life meaningful, but living so meaningfully that love simply adds to the great that's already unfolding. So ask yourself honestly, what are you building? What drives you when no one's watching? What do you believe in so deeply that you'd fight for it even alone? Because when a woman sees that in you, when she senses that your life is full, your mission is real, and your desire for her is rooted in purpose, she will not forget you. She won't just think of your body or your words. She'll think of your energy, your fire, your unwavering sense of direction. And that's the kind of man a woman thinks about all night long. Every woman, no matter how strong, independent, or composed, goes through storms, emotional storms, doubts, fears, overthinking, moments where the world feels like it's closing in. And it's in those moments, not during the laughs, not during the dates, but in the silence, the chaos, the tension, that a man shows who he is. Most men collapse under her emotions. They react, they get angry, they feel threatened by her pain. And that's when she knows he's not safe. But a man who remains calm in her storms, that man is unforgettable. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to hold space. A woman's emotions aren't an attack. They're not a test to pass. They are a request, an unspoken call. Can I still be soft in your presence when I'm breaking inside? Will you stay grounded when I lose my footing? Most men fail here, not because they don't love her, but because they never learn to love themselves through discomfort. So when her emotions rise, they take it personally. They panic, they shut down, or worse, they fight back. And in that moment, the woman feels abandoned, even if he's still physically there. But the man who breathes slowly when she raises her voice, who doesn't rush her tears, who sits with her without needing her to be happy for him to feel like a man, that man becomes her anchor. Emotional stability isn't coldness. It's not being distant or robotic. It's the opposite. It's having the emotional maturity to witness her chaos without letting it control you. It's knowing that her breakdown isn't a reflection of your failure. It's a sign she feels safe enough to break in front of you. And when you don't punish her for it, when you don't shame her, fix her, or flee from her emotions, she will trust you in a way that few ever earn. There's a peace that flows from a man who's done his inner work, who doesn't fear feminine energy, but respects it, who doesn't see her anger as an attack, but as pain, who doesn't view her sadness as weakness, but as a beautiful part of being human. That man becomes the one she calls when she can't sleep, the one she misses when she's surrounded by noise, but needs silence, the one she thinks about at night, not because he said something perfect, but because he made her feel safe when her world was spinning. And don't misunderstand, this kind of stability doesn't come from pretending. It comes from healing, from knowing your own emotions deeply, from learning to sit with your storms so that you can one day be still in hers. If you want to be the man she thinks about all night, don't just be the one who excites her, be the one who calms her soul, because excitement fades, but emotional safety, that echoes in her mind long after you've gone quiet. Most men live on the surface. They talk smooth, they look good, they play the game well, but when you strip all of that away, there's nothing underneath. No convictions, no wisdom, no emotional gravity. And that's exactly why they're forgotten. Because the truth is, a woman might enjoy the surface for a moment, but she craves something deeper for a lifetime. You don't become unforgettable by having the flashiest car, the trendiest clothes, or the perfect pickup lines. You become unforgettable by having depth, by being the kind of man who knows who he is, what he stands for, and where he's going, even when no one's watching. Depth is a man who listens, not just to reply, but to understand. It's the man who asks questions that makes her stop and think, because no one ever cared enough to ask them before. It's the man who reads, learns, or reflects, who's aware of his wounds, and doesn't pretend to be healed, but chooses not to bleed on others. It's the man who holds values, who speaks about legacy, not just pleasure, who
use connection over attention. That's the kind of man a woman thinks about at 2 a.m. Not because he made her laugh once, but because his presence lingered in her spirit. When a woman senses depth in a man, she feels safe opening up her childhood stories, her insecurities, her dreams she never told anyone. And in that moment, she knows she's not just talking to another guy, she's talking to a man who sees her, a man who hears what she doesn't even say. That's the kind of intimacy that doesn't come from chemistry. It comes from courage, the courage to go deeper than the world teaches you. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Becoming a man of depth means you'll be lonely at times. It means you'll outgrow shallow conversations. You won't fit into the crowd. You'll care about things others joke about. You'll have nights where you question everything. But that's the price of substance. And if you're willing to pay, you'll become rare. In a world full of noise, you'll be remembered for your silence. In a world full of men trying to impress her, you'll be the one who impacted her. So ask yourself, do you want to be liked by many, or deeply remembered by one? Do you want her to laugh at your jokes tonight, or feel your presence in her thoughts every night? Because the man who only shows her the surface might win her attention, but the man who shows her his soul wins her heart. If you want her to think about you all night, don't just be fun, be real, be vulnerable, be someone who's gone to war with his demons, and still chooses to love with intention. That kind of man doesn't chase her thoughts, she gives them to her. Freely, willingly, because depth is not only magnetic, it's unforgettable. Before you scroll away, if any part of this speech hit you in the chest, that moment when something clicked, and you thought, damn, that's me, don't ignore it. That feeling, that's your soul, asking for more depth, more growth, more honesty. You don't need to be the loudest man in the room. You just need to be the most honest with yourself. That's what makes you magnetic. Not tricks, not tactics, not games, but truth. And women, they feel that. They don't just think about it. They carry it on their body, long after you've gone. When you're a man of presence, a man of meaning, she'll remember you when no one else can make her feel understood. Now, if you're ready to start showing up differently, not just for women, but for yourself, then hit that like button. Share this video with a brother who needs to hear this. Drop a comment below. Tell me which part of this message spoke to your story. And if you're serious about leveling up emotionally and becoming a man who leaves an imprint, not just a good impression, then subscribe right now. This isn't just content, this is a call. Become the man she can't forget, because you finally stopped forgetting yourself. Your next chapter starts now. I'll see you in the next video.